There are passages of the Bible that are so clear, one needs little or no background to understand their meanings and messages. Such is not the case, however, with the book of Daniel. Now, that may come as a surprise to many of us who have heard the stories of Daniel since childhood. The exciting tale of Daniel in the lion's den, or the story of 3 young men in the fiery furnace. The characters in these stories challenge us with their messages of courage and faith. But there is an even greater richness to be found in Daniel if we understand some of its history and purpose. How fortunate we are to have Dr. Jorge Gonzalez to help us understand this complex and profound book. Dr. Gonzalez is professor of religion at Berry College. A native of Cuba, Dr. Gonzalez is a United Methodist minister, a lecturer, and author of the book, Daniel, A Tract for Troubled Times.
Just who was this man named Daniel? Well, we don't know anything about him except what we find in the book itself. We do know that the name Daniel was associated with someone who was wise or righteous, and we can assume that the author of this book chose the name Daniel because of its special meanings. Daniel is an apocalyptic book and contains the key elements of apocalyptic literature: use of symbolic language, division of history into periods, and expectation that the present age would immediately come to an end. The book of Daniel was written in the 2nd century BC. The author was very concerned about the future of Israel, which was at the time under great pressure to accept wholeheartedly the Greek culture, especially the religion of the Greeks. The ruler was Antiochus IV Epiphanes. He instituted terrible persecution of the Jews. Under his rule, circumcision, observing the Sabbath, and having a copy of the Jewish Torah all became crimes punishable by death. The writer of the book of Daniel was deeply concerned about the Jewish people and the preservation of their religion. We can imagine him viewing his contemporary situation and thinking, what can I do to encourage my Jewish brothers and sisters to resist the temptations of the Greek culture? What can I say to those who are being persecuted? He chose to strengthen his Jewish contemporaries in their time of crisis by telling a story set in the past, during the period of the Babylonian exile. This was another time in which the Jews were tempted to renounce their faith and adopt other forms of worship. The story opens around 606 BC, about 400 years earlier, when Jerusalem had been overtaken by King Nebuchadnezzar. The king had taken a select group of bright young men from Jerusalem to Babylon to work for him. Among these was our hero, Daniel. While in Babylon, Daniel and his friends were strongly encouraged to give up their Jewish faith and become a part of the Babylonian world. They were told to give up their ways of eating according to Jewish law. They were urged to believe in astrology and magic. And when they refused, They were teased and punished and threatened. Notice the parallels between the story of Daniel and the time in which it was actually written. In both cases, the Jews are under foreign domination. Complete allegiance was demanded of them. And in both eras, remaining faithful was a most difficult choice. What a powerful way this creative author had of urging his contemporaries to remain steadfast. He gave them an exciting book to encourage those who were being persecuted and being tempted to stray from the faith. And what about its message for us today in modern America? Even today, there are faithful people who are suffering persecution. Daniel can be compared with more modern leaders who have stood their ground even while being persecuted. These modern leaders, like Daniel, have resisted living their faith even when it would have been much easier to do so. In the book of Daniel, we find a theme and a literary form called apocalypticism. The author used this theme to make certain points. Several features of the book of Daniel are examples of the use of apocalypticism. The use of symbolic language, the division of history into periods with a present age and an age to come, and the expectation that the present age would immediately come to an end. The other apocalyptic book in our Bible is the book of Revelation. The book of Daniel is structured into two basic parts. The first half of the book contains the 6 dreams, and the second half, the 4 visions. In the first part, we find a hero who is hoping that the Babylonian rulers will change and see the truth of the Jewish religion. This portion of the book encourages the faithful to remain steadfast. In the second half, Daniel has given up on the rulers, and his hope rests only in God. He realizes that no change will occur in this world. The emphasis is on the prize, waiting for the faithful in the world to come. We have seen that the book of Daniel is a book of encouragement. Theologians have found great value in this book and point out several theological insights which are found in the book of Daniel, some occurring for the first time in biblical thought. Some theological ideas found in the book of Daniel are resurrection of the body, messianism, for it begins to talk about the hope for a Messiah, a Savior, angels as messengers, and apocalypticism, with symbolism taken from Mesopotamian mythology. As with the book of Revelation, people have to read Daniel in many different ways. Some have attempted to interpret its symbolism in a way that describes contemporary political events. But the truth of the book transcends such interpretation. The message of Daniel is a message for all time, and a message for our time, a time when the faithful are persecuted, and a time when the temptations of our society are great.
These are times, to quote an old phrase, which try our souls. But on the other hand, what hope there is to be found in the faith of Daniel. What courage we can claim from those whose faith has shown us the strength which God has placed within us all.